My parents skipped my daughter's birthday again, 3 years straight. No call, no card. A week later my mom texted, "We need $1,800 from you. Your sister's baby shower isn't cheap." I just blocked them. And the next day they were already knocking on my door. My daughter just turned 10. A whole decade. Double digits. She's at that age where she still wants themed cupcakes and glittery invitations and insists on dressing up her stuffed animals for the party. She wanted a butterfly garden cake and a scavenger hunt, so that's what I gave her. We decorated the living room together the night before. He kept asking if the lights were sparkly enough. Her dad, my ex, couldn't come, but he called. Sent her a gift too. A little bracelet with her name engraved. Even his new wife remembered. But my parents, nothing. Not a card. Not a call. Not even a lazy Facebook message. Just silence like she didn't exist. And it's not like this was new. This was the 3rd year in a row they'd skipped her birthday. 3 years. I'd reminded them a week before. Gave them a heads up. I even texted them pictures from her party. Her in her sparkly dress holding the cake we made together. I saw they viewed the photos. No response. It's not like they were out of the country. Not sick. Not dealing with a crisis. I knew exactly where they were that day. At my sister's house helping her plan her second baby shower. Her second. Meanwhile, their only grandchild on my side of the family turned 10 without a whisper from them. That night, after I cleaned up the glitter and tossed the leftover cupcakes in the trash, I let it sit. Didn't say anything. I'd been through this before. The excuses, the blame shifting, the half apologies laced with guilt trips. Then a week later the text came. No greeting. No mention of the birthday. Not a single word acknowledging they'd missed it. Just this. "We need $1,800 from you. Your sister's baby shower isn't cheap." I stared at it for a good minute thinking maybe I was reading it wrong. I wasn't. There was no typo. No autocorrect mistake. It was exactly what it looked like. A demand for money. Like I was their bank. Not a daughter. Not a mom they just insulted by ignoring her child's birthday. Just their financial plan B. That's when I blocked them. No warning. No explanation. Just opened my contacts and hit block on both of them. They've done this for years. Expected me to help. I have a decent job, good income. I never flaunt it, but they know. They've always leaned on me. Family vacations? I covered the Airbnb. Holidays? I hosted. My sister's first baby shower? I paid for half of it without blinking. I was the responsible one, the financially stable one, the one who got guilted into solving everything. But this time something cracked. Or maybe finally healed. The next morning, 9:42 a.m., there's knocking on my door. Not light knocking. Not neighborly. It was the kind of knock people use when they think they have a right to your time. I didn't answer right away. Just peeked through the peephole. My mom. My dad. Both standing there like they were about to lecture me for not doing enough. Again. They didn't know they were blocked. They probably thought I'd just forgotten to reply. That I'd come to the door smiling, wallet in hand, ready to be useful. I opened the door just a crack. They both looked surprised. That's when I realized they weren't here to apologize. They were here to make sure their plans stayed intact. But I'd already made mine. And they were not part of them anymore. The first thing my mom said at the door wasn't "Hi," or "We forgot her birthday," or even "Can we talk?" She just looked at me and said, "Did you get our message?" She meant the text about the $1,800. Not the message they sent by ignoring my daughter's 10th birthday for the 3rd year in a row. I didn't invite them in. I stood in the doorway and told them yes, I got it, and yes, I blocked them. My mom blinked like she hadn't heard me right. My dad shifted his weight, glanced down the street like he wished he were anywhere else. I repeated it. I told them I blocked their numbers and no, I wasn't sending them a dime. They looked genuinely stunned. Not because I was angry, but because they honestly didn't expect consequences. My mom actually said, "Julia, this isn't like you. You always help." She meant it as an accusation, not a compliment. That was their entire issue in one sentence. They counted on me being the one who always says yes, always picks up the slack, always swipes my card while they call it family support. They've leaned on me since I was 22. When my sister got pregnant the first time, I was the one who helped her set up her apartment, bought the crib, helped pay for her hospital bills when her boyfriend disappeared. When my parents had a plumbing disaster, I paid. When they wanted a family vacation to Hawaii 2 years ago, I was the one who covered the house rental because they couldn't swing it this time. They always promised to pay me back. They never do. And every time I swallow it, tell myself it's family, that I'd want someone to do the same for me if I needed it. But I realized something standing there in the doorway. I've never needed it. I've never asked them for help. Because I knew it wouldn't come. So I told them no. And when my mom started talking over me about how my sister was stressed, how they already put down deposits, how I was blowing everything out of proportion. I just said, "You forgot your granddaughter's birthday." She didn't say anything. Just looked at me like that was beside the point. My dad finally opened his mouth to say something. No apology, no acknowledgement, just something like, "Let's not make this bigger than it is." And that's when I shut the door. 10 minutes later, my sister started texting. One after another, paragraphs saying Mom was crying in the car, saying I was making everything harder than it had to be. That they were all stressed and didn't need this drama right now. That the baby shower was already planned and now they were scrambling. She said I needed to get over myself. That just because I make more money doesn't mean I can hold it over everyone's head. She finished it with, "It's not always about you, Julia." And that's what actually made me laugh. Because it's never about me. It's about what I can do for them. What I can pay for. What I can fix. I didn't reply. I turned my phone off, took my daughter out for pancakes and bought her the skateboard she'd wanted but never asked for. That night my dad left a voicemail. It was short. "Call us back so we can fix this. We need to move on." But I already had. The baby shower was set for the following Saturday, and if you saw the invite, you'd think it was a small wedding. White tents, catered buffet, pastel floral theme, customized sugar cookies with the baby's name on them, which hadn't even been announced yet, just the initial M. They had a photographer booked, a balloon arch ordered, even a violinist for the arrival moment. It was absurd. A production. I'd seen the invite weeks ago before the birthday incident, and at the time I'd laughed at the extravagance. But what caught my eye was my name at the bottom. Hosted by Jessica's family, Julia, big sister, and friends. I never agreed to that. I never offered to pay for anything. But it didn't matter. They always assumed. Because for years I'd been the one they could count on. Or more accurately, the one they used. After I blocked them, I didn't say a word to anyone. No dramatic messages. No long emails. I just went quiet. And let the plans unravel on their own. By Tuesday things started to shift. I didn't hear from my mom or dad directly, but I got a Venmo request from my sister for $600, labeled shower catering final deposit. I declined it. Twice. On the third time she added a note. "We really need this, Julia. You said you'd help." I never said that. Not once. But they've rewritten stories so many times they actually believe them. On Wednesday a new number texted me. A catering company. They asked if I had another card to provide, since the one they had on file had been declined, and the deposit deadline was that night. That's how I found out they tried to use my old card again. The one I gave them 2 years ago to help them book a hotel for a family trip. I hadn't realized it was still saved somewhere. I called the bank immediately. Reported it, canceled the card, requested a new one. When the woman on the phone asked if it was fraud, I hesitated, then said yes. Because honestly that's what it was. Later that night I got 3 missed calls from my sister. Then a flurry of texts, rapid fire, like she was just typing without thinking. "What is wrong with you? You're being cruel. Mom's crying nonstop. You always do this when things aren't about you. You're ruining the shower and you don't even care." I didn't reply to any of them. I went to bed and slept better than I had in weeks. Thursday morning I woke up to messages from 2 cousins and 1 aunt, asking if everything was okay and if the baby shower was still happening. Apparently the RSVP link stopped working. My sister must have shut it down. There was no announcement, no update, just silence. The same kind they gave me and my daughter a week earlier. I was tempted to respond, to send them the full story. But I didn't. I wasn't trying to turn anyone against anyone. I was just done participating. That night my sister called again. I don't know why I picked up. Curiosity maybe. She didn't waste time. She was furious. She said they were now over $1,200 short. That vendors were backing out. That people were texting her asking if the event was cancelled. That our parents were panicking and she was 8 months pregnant and didn't need this stress. I waited. Then asked one question. "Did you even remember her birthday?" She didn't respond. Just sat there in silence. So I kept going. I told her I wasn't trying to sabotage anything. I just wasn't participating. Not this time. Not ever again under those terms. I told her they could host whatever party they wanted with whatever money they had. But my role as backup while it was over. Then she said something I won't forget. "We thought you'd come around like always. You usually get over it." That was the moment it hit me. They counted on me not standing up for myself. They had built their expectations around the idea that I'd stay silent even when it hurt. That I'd absorb the hits and show up anyway. Not this time. I told her I wasn't angry anymore. Just awake. And then I hung up. Friday morning I checked the baby shower website. It was gone. I didn't need anyone to tell me. The whole thing had been called off. No apology. No explanation. Just silence. But I knew that wouldn't last. Because June was coming. And every June we did the big family beach trip. They'd already picked the house. Already started the group chat. Already assumed I was paying the deposit. They had no idea what was coming. June came fast. Too fast. The kind of month that feels like it's sprinting towards something, and I already knew what. The family beach trip. Every summer since I was 28 I booked the house. Always the same stretch of coastline in North Carolina, near the pier, 10 minutes from the taco place everyone liked. I handled the deposit, the contract, even the groceries. My mom always promised to Venmo me later. He never did. This year I waited. I wanted to see how long it would take them to ask. They didn't wait long. Second week of May I got added to the group chat again. Family Beach Week 2025 Sund. I hadn't said a word in it since last year. But there was a message from my mom. Hey everyone. Julia, we're thinking July 7th to 14th. Can you check availability for the same house as last time? No one said a word about the baby shower. Or my daughter's birthday. Or anything that happened just weeks before. They acted like none of it happened. That was the most surreal part. Like they'd decided to just skip the chapter and hope I'd do the same. I didn't respond. Not for a full week. Then finally I just said, I'm not going this year. You'll have to book without me. The group chat went quiet. Dead silent for 2 full days. Then my dad replied, why not? Is something going on? My sister followed. You're being really immature about all of this. That vacation is for the kids. I didn't respond. So they tried a different tactic. A call from my mom. I let it go to voicemail. She said she understood if I couldn't afford it this year, that they could all chip in more. That she'd even help me cover it if that's what I needed. That's when I realized, they actually believed money was the issue. Not years of being ignored, used, left out unless I was useful. That voicemail made me angrier than anything. Because they still didn't get it. So I replied in the chat, it's not about money. It's about finally being tired of being the one you all only call when you need something. After that, the messages slowed down. I figured maybe they'd finally get the hint. Until the email came. I was sitting at work on a Thursday, going through invoices when a subject line popped up from Shoreside Rentals. I opened it. It was a reservation confirmation for the beach house. But under my name. With my personal email. My billing address. And somehow, my new credit card number. I stared at the email like it was a magic trick. Then it hit me, they used my daughter's school payment portal. I'd recently helped set up an automatic donation for a fundraiser, and I'd used my new card. The school had an online platform connected to a shared family account I had originally set up for emergencies years ago, and I never unlinked my info. It was still visible to anyone with access. And they had access. They used it. I called the rental company immediately. Told them it was unauthorized. Thankfully, the deposit hadn't processed yet. I canceled the booking. Then called the bank again. New card issued. I didn't say anything to my family. I just removed myself from the group chat. Deleted the app. But apparently they figured it out quickly. Saturday morning my sister showed up at my door. Unannounced. She was holding her baby. She looked exhausted. I almost didn't open the door, but something in me softened. She asked if she could come in. I let her. She sat down on the couch and didn't say anything for a full minute. Then finally, I didn't know they did that with your card. I swear to God I didn't know. He sounded tired. Like she'd fought with them before coming over. Then she said something I didn't expect. They think you're punishing the whole family. But honestly, I think you're finally just protecting yourself. He started crying. Said she didn't want her kid growing up watching everyone treat me like that. That she was tired of the tension. That she wanted things to be different, but didn't know how to make that happen. I didn't say anything right away. Just sat with it. It wasn't the reconciliation I expected. It wasn't really a reconciliation at all. It was the first real moment in years. And it changed everything. It started with the letter. It came in a pale yellow envelope, the kind my mom uses for holiday cards. Her handwriting on the front was neat, precise. The way it always is when she's trying to look calm even when she's boiling inside. I knew exactly what it was the second I saw it. Inside were 3 pages, all front and back, filled with the kind of carefully curated guilt only a mother can craft. The first paragraph was all about how she missed me. How the distance lately had been hard on everyone. Then came a list of vague emotional appeals. That family is all we have, that I'm teaching my daughter resentment, that my father's been so hurt by the way things unfolded. Then she pivoted. Page 2 opened with, we never expected you to cover everything forever, but you never once said no before, so how are we supposed to know you felt this way? She wrote that I had a coldness lately she didn't recognize. That she always admired my strength, but lately it had turned into bitterness. She accused me of becoming distant and ungrateful. That I've enjoyed my success but forgotten the people who helped get you there. Which was interesting considering I paid my own way through college, worked 2 jobs and never once borrowed money from them. But okay. And then this gem in perfect underlined penmanship. You have obligations, Julia. Not just opportunities. That's when I realized what the letter really was. It wasn't a peace offering. It was a reminder. A subtle, eloquent attempt to put me back in my role. The family fixer, the reliable one, the giver. I didn't write back. I didn't even text. I folded it and put it in my filing cabinet, right next to the expired tax documents and my divorce papers. 2 days later my dad called. I didn't pick up. His voicemail was short but heavy with condescension. Said he didn't raise a selfish daughter. That he didn't understand where all this was coming from. That my sister needed me. That the whole family was talking. That part made me pause. Because it wasn't just them anymore. Apparently my mom had gone on a quiet campaign. She'd reached out to relatives, dropped hints, played the victim. And now, aunts and cousins I hadn't heard from in years were suddenly resurfacing. My cousin Mark messaged me out of nowhere, saying he'd heard I was going through something. Another cousin, the one who always shows up late to everything, sent me a link to some article about the importance of forgiveness in families. Forgiveness? For what? I didn't scream. I didn't cut anyone off with theatrics. I just said no, clearly and calmly for the first time in a decade. And apparently that was more offensive than anything else I could have done. Then came the kicker. My aunt, the only one who ever seemed neutral in all this, called me. And she didn't even pretend to be neutral this time. She said, I just want to let you know your mom's been really torn up. She didn't mean to make you feel taken advantage of. But you have to understand she's under pressure too. There's still a baby in the picture. And now with the beach trip falling apart, I cut her off. Asked if she even knew they tried to use my credit card again. She went quiet. Then she said something that made my stomach twist. Well, you've always made more than the rest of us, Julia. I think maybe they just assumed you didn't mind helping out. There was the root of it all. Because I'd worked hard, built a stable life, and learned how to be independent, I was now expected to carry everyone. And not just carry, do it with a smile. And if I didn't, I was selfish, cold, not the Julia they used to know. They didn't want to fix anything. They wanted to remind me who I used to be, and punish me for outgrowing her. That night, my sister sent a photo in a private message. Just her baby sleeping. No caption. No apology. No context. I stared at it for a long time. I didn't respond. But I felt something shift again. Not anger. Not guilt. Just sadness. Because this wasn't going to get better on its own. And I knew what was coming. I just didn't know how soon. It was a quiet Sunday, one of those slow afternoons where the sun feels softer and time stretches in a good way. My daughter and I were in the backyard painting an old bench we dragged home from a garage sale. She chose a bright teal color and was covered in smudges from head to toe. I didn't even care that the brush strokes were uneven or that she was wearing her good leggings. She was laughing and I was relaxed. That was rare. Then the gate creaked open. Not the doorbell. Not a knock on the front door. The side gate. I turned around and there they were, my sister, her fiancé, and the baby in a carrier on his chest. She was holding a paper bag and he had a folded blanket under his arm. They looked hesitant, like they weren't sure if I'd send them away. I didn't say anything. Just waited. She asked if they could sit. I gave a small nod and stepped aside. They laid the blanket down on the grass. My daughter didn't say anything either. She just kept painting, eyeing them out of the corner of her eye like she was trying to decide if this was a trick. My sister sat across from me and pulled out 2 sandwiches wrapped in wax paper. She handed one to me and the other to my daughter along with a lemonade. Then she said, I remembered she doesn't like the strawberry kind. That detail hit harder than it should have. Because it meant she'd been paying attention. And for a long time it never felt like anyone was. She didn't launch into apologies. She didn't bring up the fight, the cancelled shower, the card fraud, or the group chat. She just said, I don't want to keep going like this. I don't want the baby growing up thinking this is how sisters work. She told me she'd been watching our parents lately. Really watching. How they handled things. How they shifted blame. How they expected me to fund things they couldn't afford, without ever asking themselves if they should even be planning them in the first place. Then she said she told them she was done participating in that system. She told them I didn't owe anyone $1. And until they apologized to me directly, no deflection, no excuses, they weren't going to hear from her either. I didn't know what to say. I didn't expect any of it. Not from her. Then she looked at my daughter and asked if she wanted to hold the baby. There was a pause. A quiet one. Then my daughter stood up, hands still covered in dried teal paint, and reached out carefully. She held her baby cousin like something sacred. For a few minutes no one spoke. We just sat there, 4 adults and 2 kids, on a blanket in the backyard like none of the last few months had happened. And for once the silence didn't feel like tension. It felt like air finally being let into a closed room. Eventually I asked her why she came now. She shrugged and said, because you stopped pretending. And that gave me permission to stop too. It wasn't dramatic. There were no tearful embraces or sudden healing. It was more like a pressure release. A moment of honesty in a family that had been avoiding it for years. Before she left, she said she didn't expect everything to be fixed. But she wanted something real. Something that didn't require anyone pretending anymore. I told her I was open to that. Later that evening, I found a short email from my mom. Just one sentence. "I think we need to talk." I didn't reply. Not yet. But I smiled. Because now, finally, it's going to be on my terms. The final update. It's been almost 3 months since that day in the backyard, and if you told me back in April that I'd be texting my mom again, voluntarily, I wouldn't have believed you. But here we are. It started slow. After my sister's visit, I waited a week before replying to my mom's email. I kept it short. I told her I was open to a real conversation, but only if it wasn't going to be about guilt, manipulation, or what I owed. I said I wasn't interested in rehashing the past unless it was to acknowledge it honestly. And if that wasn't something she could do, it was better to leave things where they were. To my surprise, she agreed. She asked if she could come over for coffee, just her, no dad. And when she showed up, she brought a notebook. She'd written down things she wanted to say because she said she knew she had a tendency to get defensive when things got uncomfortable. That part alone was huge. She actually apologized. No qualifiers. No "if you felt that way" language. She said she was wrong. That they'd taken advantage of me. That she didn't realize how much I'd been carrying, and how invisible I'd been made to feel. She even admitted they'd leaned on me financially because I was the safe one. And they never stopped to ask how that felt for me because they assumed I'd always be there. She asked what she could do now. What it would take to rebuild. Not for appearances, not for holidays, but for something better. I told her the truth. I said I wanted boundaries respected. I wanted emotional support to go both ways. I wanted them to show up for my daughter consistently, not just when it was convenient. I didn't expect perfection. I just wanted effort. Since then, things have changed. Slowly but noticeably. My mom comes by twice a month to take my daughter out. Sometimes for ice cream, sometimes just to sit and draw with her. She doesn't make excuses anymore. She doesn't talk over me. She listens. That's new. My dad's been quieter. He hasn't apologized directly, and I'm not holding my breath. But he's made an effort. He sent my daughter a birthday gift. Late but thoughtful. He's also started calling me to check in, not just to ask for help. And my sister? She's been the most consistent of all. We talk almost every day now. Not long conversations, just little check-ins. Pictures of the kids. Random thoughts. Honest stuff. No pretending. She doesn't shy away from hard topics anymore, and she doesn't expect me to be her fixer. She even paid for her own portion of a small family weekend we did last month. No drama, no expectation that I'd swoop in. It's real. For the first time in years, it feels like a family where everyone is responsible for their part. No one's perfect, but no one's hiding behind old roles either. And I think that's what makes it work. There's still a lot we haven't unpacked. Decades of habits don't vanish overnight. But for now we're trying. And it doesn't feel forced. I still say no sometimes. I still protect my time, my energy, my daughter. But I do it knowing they finally understand why. And that might be the biggest change of all.